I want you to tell me the very first thing that you see below you, or the very first impression that you have as you come down to the surface. Just look around and see what you see around you.
I feel like I'm kind of in the outskirts of a small village on a sunny day.
What makes you feel that it's a small village, or that it's the outskirts?
Because I sensed small, like cottages, not close together, but I don't know, it just seemed like a small community.
Okay, very good. So what I'd like you to do now is to just look down at where your feet would be and tell me what you see on your feet.
Almost like ruby slippers or something.
Mm-hmm.
It seems silly.
It's all right. Are they actually red in color?
Yeah.
Okay. What do they look like they're made of?
I don't know, just maybe leather, I guess.
Okay. And shift your attention now and awareness to your body. What clothes are you wearing?
They look like I'm wearing a dress, mid-calf or mid-shin, whatever you call it. It's sort of like from the 20s maybe, or something. With a light coat over the top.
Okay, what color is the coat?
Kind of gray, tweed or something gray.
You are in a female body, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay, young or old?
Youngish.
Approximately how old?
Between 20 and 30.
Do you sense that you're healthy?
Yes.
Okay. And so if you bring your attention back to your clothes, are you wearing any jewelry, belts, anything else?
I think that the dress is belted, but the coat is like one of those loose-fitting, and I feel like I'm wearing a hat with a mesh on it, like a veil.
That covers your face?
Partially.
So that seems like a fancy clothes.
It just feels like I'm wearing everyday clothes.
So now become aware of why you're standing where you're standing, perhaps at the outskirts of this little village or town. Are you there by yourself?
Yes.
What's going on?
I don't know.
Just tell me what you're feeling and if you know why you're there.
It looks like a very pleasant village, and I'm standing outside of it, like I want to be part of it, but I don't think I'd live there.
So you're not a resident of it yet?
No.
You're approaching it?
Yes.
Where are you coming from?
I don't know.
Are you looking for a place to live, to move to?
Yes.
Why is that? Just become aware. Allow yourself to become aware of why you're journeying somewhere.
Just escaping, trying to find something that feels real to me, that suits me.
And what is it that would suit you right now? What would feel real to you right now? Just imagine a place, an ideal place that you would like to see yourself in.
Just a comfortable little cottage where I go to rest, where everybody's friendly and everybody knows me. And
why is it that you feel that this little village would not be the right place for you, or that you would not fit into it?
I feel like they don't want me.
Become aware of why that is.
I don't know.
What are you feeling right now?
Rejection, I just feel lost. I don't know.
Okay. And so what is your next thought about the next step you should take? Are you going to try it there in that village, or just keep going?
I don't know.
Okay. So I'd like you to allow the images to fade away for just a moment. And as you take the next breath, you're going to feel a wave of comfort and peace and relaxation travel through your entire body, bring you back into balance, back into a place of peace and comfort. And I'm going to count to 3. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to move and see yourself in front of a place where you used to live, the place that you left. In front of a place where you used to live. 1, beginning to shift there. 2, getting close. And 3, you're standing in front of a place where you used to live, the place that you left to go on this journey. And tell me what you see.
It's in the city. Looks like a old, dirty brick building.
Mm-hmm. And what's around that building?
It's like, I think it's like 3 stories, but it looks like the building looks ominous to me. Like, almost like I know I must live there, but I don't want to live there. It seems to stand out from the other brick buildings, like it's a dark place.
Okay. And so you see other buildings next to it?
Near it, yeah.
Okay. And are they all about the same height? About 3 stories?
No, some are shorter. Like houses. This building, I think, is supposed to be a house, but it's just very cold.
Now, do you see people on the street? Anybody else around you?
No.
Okay. So I'd like you to go ahead and walk inside that building. You will feel very comfortable. You will simply observe and become aware of everything that's going on. But you will feel safe and comfortable when you are inside. You are just a visitor, and you're free to leave at any point. So as you go inside, tell me what you become aware of there.
Poverty, boredom, and a sense of no joy of living, it's just not a pleasant place. Nothing evil, just no hope.
And who lives there with you?
I feel like there are people there, but they're just sitting there like empty, like...
So is the whole 3-story building your home? Or is it just part of it?
It just seems like a big emptiness. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Is there just one family that lives there, or multiple families, or is this not even a family home? Is it something else?
I don't know. It almost seems like a shelter.
Mm-hmm.
When there's nowhere else to go.
Okay. And how long are you staying in that place? Is it a temporary place, or do you live there?
It's a temporary place, and all I want to do is flee. Not for fear, just I don't want to be in a dead end.
And how did you come to stay there? Did you come from another home?
I think so.
Just take a breath, and as you breathe, just feel comfort streaming through your body, just relaxing all your muscles. You're just observing. That's right. And simply become aware of how you came to be in that building. What brought you there?
I kind of sense that maybe it was abuse.
When you see other people, who do you see around you?
Not able to really see too many people except in that house. It was just females, maybe a little younger than me.
So is it all women around you?
I think so. Maybe a women's shelter.
Okay. Now, become aware of what you do during the day.
I don't know.
How long are you staying there?
Just long enough to think about where I need to go and where I want to go.
So let's allow those images to fade away and just become a memory. As you begin to feel more and more comfortable, we're going to shift very comfortably to the place that you escaped or the place that you left to come to this temporary housing. You will be completely safe and completely comfortable. And on the count of 3, you're going to move to the place that you felt you had to leave to go into this temporary housing. 1, beginning to move in that direction. 2, getting closer. And 3, you're standing in front of the place where you used to live that you had to leave. Tell me what you're aware
of. It's an apartment building, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Small apartments, like run down. I have a sense that there's not much work. I feel like I'm too intelligent to be there, not that it feels like a place where people are trying to just survive. Because there's not much employment. A lot of very unhappy people in that building.
And I wonder if you can become aware of the time, the year that this is.
I just sense that it's like in the 20s.
Okay. And where are you? What do you know? What city you're in?
No, it's a city. It's like the rougher part of town, but I don't know.
Okay. And just go inside of that building to the apartment where you live. And as you enter it, tell me if you're aware of who you live with.
I get the sense that it's an Italian man, and I think there's a baby.
He's your husband?
I think.
And what does he do?
He's not working, and he's angry, he's frustrated.
Do you work or do you stay at home?
I have a feeling that I was out looking for work, that's why I was wearing a dress and that coat. Because I felt pressure to get waitressing jobs or something. Is it a little easier for a woman to find a job that pays a pittance? And he was just frustrated because there was no work. And I think I was just out looking to see if I could find something that I could do to make a few dollars a week, at least to buy maybe formula or something.
And what is your relationship with your husband like?
It's very strained. I think I'm fearful because I don't think I grew up in an area like that. And I don't associate myself with that place, and I don't know what to do.
Where did you grow up?
I think probably a nicer area of the city. Like all the people in that neighborhood, most of them were associated with a certain factory or something.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody knew everybody, and that factory provided working families, I guess, with enough to get by, and it was like a slightly freer feeling than where I ended up in this apartment. I think the place I came from was just a friendlier, nobody was rich, nobody had a lot of money, but everybody was content, they were happy.
Mm. Did you follow your husband to come to this place?
I did, yeah.
Was it his choice to move there?
Yeah, he was looking, he heard there might be work, I guess.
And so just allow yourself to move a little bit further in time forward and see how the situation resolves. What happens? Are you able to find a job, or does something else happen?
I felt like we were in the wrong place. Everything felt like it feels like a dead end.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going forward, we're going down. I just felt like I had to escape it. And I don't think I took the baby. He wouldn't let me take the baby.
So you told him that you wanted to leave?
Yeah, I just wanted to. It seems like the area he went to find work was a real seedy. I think I wondered why he chose that. And I don't remember exactly where he came from before that. But I think I felt like it would be better to run away from it than to be dragged down by it.
And did your husband want to stay there? To remain there?
I think so, because he was finding ways, like day jobs or whatever, enough to... I almost felt like he preferred
that kind of
that
life.
environment. It was alien to me. I didn't want to be there.
And so you leave the baby behind, or the child behind?
I have a sense that I was fleeing for my life, and he wouldn't let me take the baby. And I thought, well, what's he going to do with the baby? Maybe I could come back and get the baby somehow.
All right. So then, as you leave, you go to this shelter place, this building.
Mm-hmm. And to me, it was like another step further down, and I didn't belong there. So I tried not to spend any time during the day there, and I think I basically came to sleep, even though it wasn't, like I said, nothing evil except the evil of despair. I think I was trying to just get back to where, I don't know.
So let's move back to the outskirt of the village where we started. Just allow those images to flood back. And as you're standing there now, in those red shoes and the dress and the coat, things will become much clearer now. You now know that you're looking for a place to live and to start a new life and perhaps find work. And what are you feeling as you're standing there?
I just feel like I just really want to be there.
And is there anything that's stopping you from going and trying to stay?
I don't know what it is. Maybe I feel guilty because I know I didn't bring the baby. I couldn't bring the baby. And I feel like they knew.
They would know it?
I felt like they knew. They were looking at me like, how could you? Or I don't know, I think I was judging myself, and I felt like they were sensing it or something.
Okay. So let's move a little bit in time to the next day. And we're going to see where you are the next day on the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what you're becoming aware of.
I sense a bakery or something. Maybe I found a job.
Are you still in that town or that village?
That same town, I think.
Mm-hmm. Somebody gave you a job. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing.
I sense that I'm really busting my butt, working hard, long hours. But being out of place there too, because I fled, I left the baby. And so I don't belong in that place where the baby is. I want to be in this other place. But I won't be happy there because it's just a mess.
How does your employer treat you?
They're kind. They expect you to work hard, but they're nice to me.
Did you find a place to stay?
I don't know where I'm staying.
And so I'm going to count to 3. And on the count of 3, you're going to move to the next important day in that lifetime. The next important day or event in that lifetime. 1, beginning to move to the next important day or event. 2, and 3. Tell me what's happening.
I think it's my employer counseled me on going back to the city. Somehow I got help, I don't know what, with a lawyer, I don't know what, but anyway, the police were involved and escorted me there, and I got the baby. I just sense that now I'm fleeing in hope that he doesn't find out where I am. And I'm going back.
To the same town?
Yeah.
So it is a good place to be.
Mm-hmm.
And are you now on the road there with the baby?
Yes.
So if the police were involved, then you're legally allowed to keep the baby.
Mm-hmm.
But you're afraid that your husband will come and get it back.
Drag me back if I want the baby. My employer now decided to look out after me. He helps me find a place that I can afford in that little village. It's really small, but there are women in the neighborhood that babysit so I can keep working at the bakery. And I feel safe, but I always feel like I'm looking over my shoulder.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like this community is really supportive of you and accepted you.
Yes.
On the count of 3, you're going to move in time to the next important event in that life. 1, beginning to shift, move to the next important event in that life. 2, getting closer. And 3, you're there. So tell me what's going on.
I feel like I had the baby before I got to realize some of my dreams. A little bit of training or education for a certain kind of vocation. I don't know if I wanted to be a secretary but I was helped to get the training I needed so I could better my situation, because I was relying on a lot of people and I didn't want to be a drain, so I really wanted that training so I could follow my dream, and I was being helped. I sense that I went to a vocational school, kind of a short term. It seems like I was a court recorder, so...
Like a stenographer?
Stenographer, yeah. And I knew shorthand, and I just didn't want to be a typist in an office somewhere. I just wanted to get these few skills so I could afford to send myself through school to get even more education. I had dreams before I met my husband, and everything fell apart, and I ended up in poverty, and I was trying to flee to get back to my dream.
Now, become aware of the dreams that you had initially. What did you want to do with your life?
I felt that I was smart enough that I don't know if I wanted to be a lawyer. at that time it seemed like it was a difficult career for a woman because everything was difficult for women. They were kind of pinned down to motherhood and just keeping house and keeping things clean and raising kids and serving your husband. And I felt like I was more than that. And I didn't want to be stuck. I didn't want to be oppressed. I wanted to be able to pursue the things that I knew I was smart enough to pursue. And I think that's why my first inclination was to be a stenographer in the courthouse.
So did you always want to be involved with law?
I think so, yeah.
And why were you interested in law specifically?
I think I knew a lawyer when I was younger and I worked in the office. I was just around it. My family wasn't affluent or anything. It was just a job, a local job. I think because in high school I did well enough to do the research and filing and whatever was required at this job that I got.
And so, are you, at this point now that you have become a stenographer, how much time has passed? How old is your child now?
Like 4 or 5, I think.
Is it a boy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I felt that I was making enough money that I could get a place of my own and afford to go to school part-time. I think I was working toward that.
And so, have you moved to a different place?
Yeah, right in the same area.
But you're in the same town, little town
Yeah.
or village?
The same neighborhood, basically.
Okay.
I just found a place there.
Nice. Do you still work at the same bakery?
I think I go in and buy things and visit.
Do you work somewhere else?
Well, I'm working, I think, at the courthouse as a
stenographer. Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. And how do you like your job?
I think it's exciting. I feel free. I feel like I'm in charge of the decisions for my son and myself.
And how's your son doing?
Fine. He loves it there. He's got lots of friends.
That's good. Now, did your husband ever come after you?
No.
Do you know where he is now?
No. I don't want to know.
Okay. And how do you feel about him? Are you still looking over your shoulder, or do you feel safe now?
There's always that possibility, so I'm a little protective. I think the community, the babysitters, the women, they're all protective of him. They keep him in their eyesight all the time.
Good. So I'm going to count to 3 now, just allow these images to fade, and we're going to move into the future to the time when you have either completed your schooling or took the next step professionally or with your life. Okay? So 1, beginning to shift in that direction. 2, getting closer to the next important event or when you completed your schooling. And 3, you're there. Tell me what you're seeing.
I realize before my schooling is completed that I don't want a busy courtroom life dealing with cases and stuff. I just want to put a shingle up just to me in an office. I want a quiet life, but I have to have a source of income. So I got a sense that it was a very brutal climb to get to be a successful lawyer as a woman. So I spent a lot of time looking into working for myself, providing service to the community that took me in.
So do you still work as a stenographer, or are you looking for a different type of work?
I do little stuff like little legal matters for people. It's like helping them close on a business deal or just little stuff.
So do you actually earn a degree?
Yeah,
A legal degree?
I am a lawyer, an attorney.
That is a wonderful accomplishment.
Yeah, and so my son is older. I sense that he's in like middle school to high school, He's just well adjusted, and it's just a peaceful life.
So you've created what you wanted. Any word from your husband?
No, he's, I think, relieved, because I guess I was curious. I wanted to kind of be sure he was still alive, because he was in a rough area. So at some point, when I had the money, I actually hired an investigator, and I don't think he missed me or the baby yet.
And so when you left him, you were still pretty young. You never got divorced, though, right? Legally.
No, and I think I never intended to remarry either.
Okay.
After that, I think it was a scary enough thing that I never wanted to be under anybody's power like that again. I wanted to be free to make my own course. I think I was stubborn and determined.
So you're content then to be on your own?
Yeah.
Good. And so just allow those images to fade away. And as you take the next breath, just allow yourself to feel even more comfortable and at peace. And when I count to 3, on the count of 3, you're going to move to the last day of that lifetime. The last day of that lifetime just before you're ready to pass. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what you're experiencing.
A nice, comfortable bedroom. I think I'm in bed. I'm weak. But all the friends that I've made, they're all looking after me. They take turns sitting with me.
Do you know how old you are?
I feel like I'm in my 70s, late 70s, early 80s. I think I feel like I'm mentally good with whatever, because I just had joy that I got that old, and still I have the friendships that I made when I first got there.
And so are you still within the same community?
Yes.
Are you ill? Why are you in bed?
Just old age, I think. Maybe my heart, I don't know.
Okay. Does anything hurt as you're lying in bed?
No.
Okay. You're just weak?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And become aware of any family members that might be around you.
Only my son. I don't know.
And tell me about him.
I kind of sense that he's a businessman and he loves his life.
He's doing well.
Yeah.
Does he have his own family?
I think so, yeah. And he stayed in that area, that neighborhood. I sense that he's a little further away, but still connected to that area.
And are you aware now of the name of where you are? The location?
No.
What's the closest town that's next to you?
It's near enough to a city, but it's not where I was. It felt like I was in the country. I mean, a small community right at the foot of the city, just close.
Okay, so just allow yourself to take this one last gentle, quiet breath. And as you breathe it out, your spirit will lift from your body and begin to rise and begin to remember itself. Begin to heal from any wounds, any memories. Clear its vision and become fully the soul that it is. And as you rise with that spirit, you're going to look down back at your body and see the body laying still in bed and the people surrounding it. And what is the feeling there among the people as they see that you have passed?
Happy that it was an easy passing, and a lot of them were close to my age. They were able to be there.
And what is it that you're feeling now?
Just a little sadness to leave, but looking forward.
So as you look back now, just allow yourself to feel comfort and peace. We're going to simply reflect on the life that you have just lived. And tell me, as a spirit looking at it from a higher perspective, when you were planning to go into that life, what was the lesson or the purpose or the path that you wanted to walk and experience?
I felt like a guardian angel or something saved me from a very sad life. Somebody gave me the strength to do what I had to do. And somehow I knew where I had to go. I knew what I was looking for.
So you were guided?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what did you learn looking back at that life now as you float above your body and still just reflecting on the life that you just left? What did you learn from a higher perspective?
That even if you didn't have family around you, if you were in the right place, those people take you in as part of their family.
So you can find a community that cares for you and that will support you.
Just love.
Mm-hmm. And look at what you did for your son by taking him out of that environment and giving him a chance, and you basically changed the course of his life.
Yes, and I feared being there long enough to have more children and then being stuck there, and it was not good.
So you were quite a powerful woman. You charted the course of your life and you followed that course. And you accomplished what you wanted.
Mm-hmm. And I never regretted it. And even what I did do, getting married and all, I hated it and I feared it. But after I was gone for a while, I let it go, and I looked at it as a rudder on my ship. It was just a learning experience, and it was what helped form my path after that.
So are you aware now of what the purpose of that life was? What is it that you intended to learn?
All I can really see is not to be easily pulled away. I think I had a determination in my life, but a more powerful presence switched me off my focus, my goal, and put me in a bad place. So I determined that I wasn't going to allow myself to end up in that position again. I was going to just stay.
So it sounds like maybe self-determination was one of the things you wanted to experience, and kind of being in charge of your own path, and being also committed to your own path, sticking to it.
Yes, and the difficulty of being a woman at that time, to be taken seriously as a determined, intelligent individual. I just remember being in the seedy neighborhood, and I think I just sensed everywhere I went in that situation the hopelessness of all those people, and I felt sorry for them, and I didn't want to be them.
From your soul perspective, do you feel that you've succeeded?
Yes, and I felt like there were no limits to what I could have accomplished, but I chose a simpler life. The education I had, I could have done much more. I could have gone into the big city and made a big impact, but I felt my path was to keep it simple. I had something to offer my community, and what they offered was a happy life. And I wasn't just confined to the job of being an attorney. I could also be someone who helped with functions at the school. I could be everywhere in my community and not just an embittered attorney living on her own with no real friends, just acquaintances. I preferred a simpler life where people were more like one big family and it was just a better place.
Wonderful. So I want you now to allow those images to begin to drift away. As you drift away from that life, from those scenes, from the people that were there, we're going to drift and float away, leaving that woman there to continue on her journey. She will find peace. She will find what she's supposed to find. We're leaving her there to continue on her own path. And now I want all of the consciousness and personality of Debbie to once again return to the body and fully integrate back into the body. And I'm going to ask if I may speak to Debbie's higher consciousness. Do I have permission to speak with Debbie's higher consciousness? I respect the power of the higher consciousness because I know that it takes care of Debbie's body and does a very good job of it. I also know that the higher consciousness has the records of everything that has ever happened to Debbie in this lifetime and all the other lifetimes that she has ever lived. So I respect the power of the higher consciousness, and I always ask for permission to speak and to ask questions. And do I have permission to ask you questions?
Yes.
So I know that the higher consciousness could have brought forth any different lifetime for Debbie to see today, but you chose to bring forward the life of a woman approximately in the 1920s. Can you tell us why you picked that lifetime? How is it relevant to Debbie's experiences today?
She feels like because she's a woman that men always dismiss what women think are important. This life is similar to the one we brought up. Maybe she can find her answers in this past life. It's not that hard.
So I found a lot of similarities, in fact, between the issues that Debbie brought up when we talked first in this lifetime. So I definitely think it's applicable, the sense of obligation to find work, to follow a certain path, to help your family survive, the pressure to do things a certain way, and the desire to feel freedom and being in charge of one's own decisions. Now, does that life that we've just reviewed, is that the life that is the main influence point, I guess, for the experiences Debbie is having in this lifetime? Is that the main connection?
Yes, and also that so many women were in her same shoes at that time. It seems to be a plague in every nation where women are dragged down and find themselves in a place where they have no power. They can't make their own decisions. Someone makes them for them, and they feel like prisoners. And this is still today. Women just are still oppressed. Even if they do well for themselves, they still are looked as weak and pliable. So it's just not her, it's many women are in this place.
And so as she prepared for this current lifetime, while she was still in spirit, what was the purpose that she chose for this life? What did she want to experience?
She wanted to do it again and overcome it, but still have love, still have family unit, not to run away from it, but to try to boldly face the problems and deal with them and still make it to the end and feel like she was a success.
Mm-hmm.
There are many painful things in her life. She knows she's not the only one that experienced these things, but to come through without destroying any of the relationships, that's a real struggle. She wants to see everyone around her in whatever capacity they can to feel like they're succeeding.
So in this life, she wanted to repeat the experience and bring the self-determination, but also make sure that she had the family at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like she is following that purpose. Is that right? She's living that purpose.
Yes. But she wanted to have 5 or 6 kids. And her husband didn't want that much responsibility. She was afraid he wouldn't be able to handle it. So she was limited there. And then when she had the children, she had to go to work. And she knows she was shorting the kids. But somehow they all turned out great.
So there was a time in her life when she felt like she was being directed and pressured to do things that she had to do, and of course take care of her family, which is very understandable. But now it seems like there may be a turning point in her life, an opportunity to practice that sort of self-determination and course correction and choosing what she wants to do. So she wants to know, what is the best thing for her to do right now? What is the path that she should follow?
Well, she knows. She just knows what it is. Mm-hmm. Because it's instilled in her.
Right.
But what's hard is the 4 men around her who think she's just on another crazy binge trying to find happiness, and they kind of don't really support her, except for maybe Dave.
Okay, so I want you now to make sure that we rise to the level of the higher consciousness and just leave the conscious mind behind for a moment. And I want Debbie to tap into the power and the strength that she had in the life that she just reviewed, and see herself as a woman going through law school. See herself as a woman who has earned her law degree and then chose how to live her life, chose the way she wanted to apply it herself, chose the direction. The woman that raised her son with the support of her community. The woman that chose how she wanted to give back to the community. A powerful woman that chose the course of her life, that pulled herself up by her own bootstraps. And I want her now to connect through the Akashic memory with that woman and feel and absorb all that strength and all that power. That woman did not care how many men were around her. She chose the direction of her life, and she went for it. And I want Debbie now to connect with that woman, because they are one and the same. They are one and the same soul within different linear time points. And the strength that that woman in red shoes in a small town or small village, the strength that that woman had, the determination that that woman had, is accessible to Debbie right now. And so I want Debbie now to absorb all of that strength and all of that power and all of that determination, and feel that just running and coursing through her veins right now, through her body, as she merges together with that woman, as they become one, with the Akashic memory awakening, they become one. And so the people in Debbie's life that are there, that function within their own reality, have their own worldview, they do the best that they can with the understanding that they have. But Debbie has the power to choose the course of her life while maintaining the relationships, while supporting her community It is a quiet strength, quiet power of a powerful woman that can choose the right path while having compassion and love for those around her. And so from the higher perspective, as I'm talking to the higher self now, is Debbie on the right path to continue choosing her own way?
Yes. When she stops worrying about what other people think, she knows what is right for her, and she even has ideas for the future so that there's less pressure financially.
Mm-hmm.
And she needs to concentrate on those things. Those are the things that bring her joy. It's just always been within her. She knows what her dream is and what path she needs to take, but she always felt other people cutting her short because her responsibility to the whole, in their minds, she's not doing what she should be doing. But in her mind, she knows what her path is.
So now that she has this inner friend almost, herself at a different time, would that help her double the strength? Would that help her have the inner conviction, the inner clarity of the path?
Yes, she understands the lesson well. She just needed to hear someone reaffirm for her that she was on
The right path.
yes, especially her acquaintances and her religious experiences.
Mm-hmm.
When she was starting to pull away from them, her memory of how they looked at her really affected her. Like, she was welcomed in, but then she was
Shunned.
yeah, just that quick. So she learned the lesson not to look for happiness from other people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find your own happiness, and then your happiness will be a light to other people. They won't question what drives her so much because they see that she's got joy, so she's doing something right. She also, I think all her life she's been a little too sensitive about how people look at her, almost like she knows what they're thinking. She feels like they always are disappointed in her decisions because it's not what they would do. She's beginning recently more and more to feel like it doesn't matter what they think. They're not living your life, and you don't have to explain to them what your decisions are. They're your decisions, and she's just really coming into that.
So I also want to bring her back to the memory of that first day when she approached the outskirts of the town where she was going to stay. And her first reaction was that she thought she was being rejected and judged. That was her impression and she even said that I think it might be in my own mind. But yet then what came out in the end is that she was fully embraced by the community and accepted and created a lifelong connection, friendships, and family. And so that memory can also trigger now that that freedom from the outside judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She can take that with her as well.
Yeah. Realizing that sort of like the coldness of the big city is not where she wanted to be. Because the big city has all its different areas, the high income rollers and wheelers and dealers, the seedy end of it. Mm-hmm. And she senses those things are all around, but yet you can choose which part of that you want to be in. The wheeler and dealer, or the blue-collar neighborhood, or do you want to be in the quiet little village where you feel grounded, where there's green grass everywhere?
Right. So I want to ask one more question. In January of this year, Debbie had an experience where she had physical sensation while she was driving. She had this flush that went from her stomach area all the way up through her head, through her entire body. Can you tell her what that was about?
It was my way of making her aware that she's being pulled off path, led astray. again. She has to quit questioning her desires and her direction, second guessing it. She knows what her life should be and what she wants it to be, and it's the right path. And she needs to just stay on it and quit getting distracted.
So that experience was not a physical illness then?
It is, but there's a lesson to be learned from actually the things that are going on in her body. They are part of the learning. They're like metaphors to her life.
Mm-hmm.
She realizes that, and she just wants to understand it, and she will. She just needs to meditate, and we'll show her. She has a strong intuitiveness when things are happening. She senses something is happening. She just has to find out what it is.
And what is the best way for her to receive those intuitive messages? Is it through just paying attention to the feeling in her body, or meditating, or listening to?
She seems to be torn. She's having some health concerns, definitely. But she's torn between trusting herself, trusting her guides, and trusting her medical doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Because she feels like they understand a lot of things, but they are just practicing. She's beginning to learn a lot of things, and she doesn't want to be distracted. And she feels like the medical profession is distracting her off her course, just like that job was distracting her off her course.
So we're going to do a body scan in just a moment, and you'll be able to help her understand any of the health concerns she has. But as she receives intuitive messages, as she is following the path that she has set for herself, I'm assuming there would be less need for her to experience the kinds of flash types things that you gave her, because she would not have to be reminded or pulled back to her course. You wouldn't have to send her experiences that might scare her.
No, I think she wants somebody to tell her she's on the right path. She does have the intuition. She knew at the time she was being distracted when she took the job. Now she'll understand. It won't take her so long, I guess, to...
So she'll be able to interpret the messages easier.
Yes, because she'll see, am I making this decision for me or for everybody else? Am I doing this because I want to, or am I doing this because I feel I have to?
Right.
And she won't let anyone pull her anymore, because the health issues that she's having is because she's being pulled that way.
So let's do a body scan and see what comes up health-wise. What I'd like the higher consciousness, higher self to do is to start at the top of the head and just scan the entire body from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. And when any issues come up, or any awareness of any issues come up, just let us know.
Her heart, just issues in her past. Her heart is suffering from past relationships and remorse.
So is that something that we can clear away and let go and clean now?
Yeah, she's already tried, but she feels like there's more she needs to do, but she doesn't really know what or how to go about it.
So you know what to do, the higher consciousness.
Yes.
You're going to come in and help clear away. And what I'm going to direct Debbie's conscious mind to focus on is on, as I touch the center of her chest, right here, she's going to imagine, visualize, or pretend that there are cords that are attached to her heart that are also connected to the events, people, places in her past that carry energetic connections that are maybe negative at this point or negatively impacting her, that she no longer needs in her life, that are no longer benefiting her. And what I want Debbie's conscious mind to imagine, visualize, or pretend is that she's wrapping those connections. They're like cables. She's wrapping those connections in love and compassion. Just putting love and compassion all around those connections. They have served their place in her learning and her path. All the people and places and events that she's connected to have served their path. And as she wraps them with love and compassion, their energetic impact on her begins to lessen. The memory can still remain, but it will no longer affect her energetically. And as those connections are all wrapped in love and compassion, once she feels that their energetic connection has reduced sufficiently as to no longer really affect her, she can find a way to sever those cables, either with scissors, or with an axe, or with a saw, or with some sort of tool, or even burn through them. And as she cuts those cords, or as she pulls the hooks out of herself that connected the cables, I want her to see light energy coming in and filling any of the gaps that are created in the absence of the cables. The light just fills her so that there is nothing missing. There are no holes left. And while she's doing that, the higher consciousness will do its job in healing any issues with the heart in whatever way it finds appropriate. And as I'm speaking with a higher consciousness now, let me know on the progress and how Debbie is doing with those cords and when that's completed.
The two main relationships in her life have passed on, but she feels like they left her poison. They left their poison on her, and she hasn't been able to resolve it.
Okay, so we're going to do that right now. We're going to clear that poison out of her body. So higher consciousness, I'd like you to assist with this. Okay. Just send light. As water washes through a vessel, we're going to use light to wash through Debbie's body. Debbie's energetic body, not just the physical as well, but also the energetic body. And as this light washes through, it's going to wash away any remains of any poison that she felt was left in her energetic body. Now the poison may appear in her energetic body as a darkness, as a dark spot, as a shadow on her light. And as those are washed away, she will begin to see her light shining brighter. And as she does that, I also want the souls of those individuals that passed on to come forward and meet with her right now. I want them to come forward so that they can let go of any connections that they had that are no longer serving her. And also show her that they are in a different place right now. From a soul perspective, they are not the individuals that were with her in her life. And so she is really free to clear away any of the remaining negative effects. And as she clears them away, once again, she wraps all those connections in love and compassion. So are the souls of those individuals here now?
Yes.
Is there anything they're saying or doing?
My father, he was able to forgive her, and he feels bad for her.
What is his message now that he is speaking from his soul perspective?
Just let it go. It's gone. It was a very powerful, in her terms, a very powerful poison because of all the things he'd done to hold everyone back in her family, to oppress them. And he knows he did it, and he just wants her to know, I'm not there anymore. You're all free to be set free and to live your own life. And Mary was difficult for her. They hung out a lot together, and at the end of her life, she seemed to be losing her mind. And she told everybody that Debbie was trying to kill her. So that poison is still, she senses that.
So she's now in a different place, and I want her soul now to come forward and hug Debbie. I want Debbie to sense the difference in the energy that is coming from Mary and from Louis. That they are not the people that they were here. And they have wisdom to share and love and care. Because when they were in this lifetime, they were playing a role. And they were probably set to push Debbie's buttons, to remind her that she has to follow her path.
Yes.
So what is the wisdom that Mary has now? Just a brief message.
Just peace. She's saying, I'm not those things that had power over me. I'm free.
And as Debbie hears those words and feels their compassion and love, can she feel the poison sipping out of her body?
Yes.
So I want her to give a final hug to the souls she has just communicated with and thank them for their visit and for allowing her to let go of that energetic connection that was not helpful to her. And as they say goodbye, just let them go. And let's just return back to the scan of your body, and let's go back to check on that feeling of poison that you used to have. Has that cleared from the body?
Her heart will be stronger now. The other problems, the kidneys, the blood pressure, over time they will work themselves. She has to focus. Her focus has to be staying free of all the poison. When she resolves these, when we work together to resolve every little issue as it comes up, she will start to feel healthier and healthier. It took a lifetime to experience all the things that brought her to this point. So she'll need to take a little time to get rid of the baggage.
As she focuses on her path and staying free of the outside influences, that will help her resolve the health issues naturally.
Yes.
So eventually she can let go of the medications with the guidance of her doctors.
Yes, and she'll know when it's time. She'll sense it, she'll feel it in her body when it's time to check with her doctor. Excellent.
Thank you. Now I want to check if there's anything else within the body scan that we need to be aware of, or if it's complete.
Those are the two areas of trouble for her. She'll be good. She can recover. She can come back to a healthy, peaceful, physical condition.
Wonderful. Thank you. Now before we close, I want to ask if the higher self has any final parting message for Debbie to take with her.
You have always sought truth, and when we gave it to you, it might have been too much at one time, but she's grasping and she's looking in the right places. She's not just listening to anybody. She has an ability to understand if it's good knowledge or something that's going to lead her astray. She's seeking, and she needs to keep seeking, and she'll find what she's looking for. The lost part of you will start to reveal itself, and I don't have to tell you what it is or what it's going to be. You'll know it. When everything comes together, she'll be overjoyed, and she'll know she's on the right path, so she needs to just continue and not give a rip what anybody else thinks. Those people around her that are important, she tries to confide in them, and then she gets that negative, so she recoils back and doesn't say anything, and she needs to not worry about all that stuff. Just continue to seek for yourself. If they ask you questions, answer them. Don't let it interfere whatsoever in their reaction to what you're saying. Just keep on your path.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm going to ask now for the higher consciousness to recede to where it belongs, with much love and thanks for the help and information it has been giving Debbie today.